Samsung Digital City is the beating heart of Samsung Electronics, a sprawling hub the size of 250 football fields. It houses more than half the company's R&D staff, bringing to life some of its most popular products.
It all began with these black and white TVs more than half a century ago. They dominated the Korean market in the post-war years. Since then, Samsung's built everything from kitchen appliances to PCs to chips and, of course, mobile phones.
And it's the popularity of its new foldable smartphones the company's banking on as it tries to offset the pressure on the all-important chip business.
I think our approach for this generation was such that we don't want to sacrifice anything because you want to make it thinner, then obviously battery capacity is one of the issues. And also how we're going to actually make sure it's durable enough. When you actually design a device thinner, obviously you can only use less metal, which can make a device less durable. But we actually not only just, we actually start with all this redesign of components, structure, even the materials. That's how we didn't do any sort of compromise in terms of durability and also performance while making this device thinner and lighter.
How successful do you expect this new generation to be? Do you have an idea of whether you could break record sales?
We do have a very high confidence that we can do better than the previous years, and then as I mentioned, this is just the beginning of making these foldables mainstream.
How does Samsung think about competition? Because you have also so many Chinese makers coming out with foldables, with good cameras.
Rather than focusing on competition, I think we have been focusing on our consumers. What are the experience that we can bring to the consumers and how complete they are? So we've been focusing on those. And I think healthy competition with other companies, I think will bring more innovations and then bring more benefits to consumers. So we are welcoming kind of others to join this category, which we created back in 2009.
Even if Apple comes out with a foldable next year, which is what people are saying, how do you keep that edge?
No, I mean, we've been doing this for many years, and this is, we have accumulated a lot of technologies and know-hows, and, having another global company joining this category, I think it's good for the industry, and also it's going to be great for the consumers.
When we see the pressure on Samsung semiconductors and we see the success in mobile, does that change your thinking about how heavy your shoulders are at this point?
No, I mean, our pressure has been there for all the time. I mean, nothing has changed. And I think there's I think Samsung is one of the companies who has every aspect of this supply chain. Not only from the components to all the way to the devices and also application and services. So we believe there will be a big synergy we can have across all these different business units, and we'll continue to kind of utilize this complete ecosystem that we have.
This is the flip phone, and this is the first time that in a foldable you put your Exynos chips as well. How significant is that for Samsung as a whole?
Choosing a chipset for a device, I think we do have a very rigorous kind of process and very complicated kind of equations. And we look at not only performance, power consumption, but also kind of regional aspects of the consumer requirements. And looking at all these dynamics, we always try to choose the best one for the device and for the consumers. So it's not so much about Qualcomm or Exynos. It is about how we're going to deliver our best experience using the right chipset platform for our consumers.
You expect the Exynos 2600 chip for next year as well?
I think we'll consider every options, and then we'll go through all this regular kind of chipset selection process as we have been doing for the next year as well. And then whichever actually gives us the best performance, best experience to our consumers, we'll choose that one.
So far, are you on track?
We are on track, and we haven't finished the evaluation process, but we are in the middle of doing it.
Let's talk a little bit about the tariff concerns around the world, because President Trump says that potentially there could be a 25% tariff on Samsung phones not produced in the United States. How are you preparing for that?
Very good question and tough one. So Samsung has long established multiple manufacturing facilities in key regions around the world. That kind of gives us a flexibility in dealing with or responding to any changes in other countries' kind of trade policies, not just the US. So we have established that kind of a flexible system. And in regard to this potential tariff by the new US government administration, there are a lot of still uncertainties.
But we have seen that deal that at least brings down the threats of tariffs from more than 40% to 20% for Vietnam, which is a huge manufacturing base for Samsung. How do you see the developments and how much of a benefit could that be? Or does it still hurt because it's still higher than it was originally at average 3%?
These new tariff policies obviously are very challenging to us in terms of business. And the mention about the Vietnam, obviously the lower the better. But also, as I mentioned, we do have multiple locations, multiple manufacturing capabilities. And over the past few months, we've been working very hard to make sure the products that are bound to US can be manufactured in any of the locations. Not any, but in multiple locations. So depending on, so we're looking at the Vietnam, but also we are looking at Korea, India. I mean, what will be the final tariffs? So as I mentioned, we're going to just do a lot of optimization according to the final numbers. But the lower, the better.
Is that easy to adjust production?
That we have been working very hard to make sure once you make that decision, that can happen really quick. So we've been doing a lot of preparation.
When it comes to those costs, at what point does Samsung decide you have to actually pass it on to consumers?
That is also a very, very difficult question. And also how we're going to, I think we'll definitely look at how the industry is evolving and how this tariff situation evolves. I think we'll make some adjustment accordingly.
When it comes to India, how big is it relative to, say, Vietnam and South Korea?
No, but remember, we are making products and shipping these products to globally, right? So, right, and some percentage of those products are going to US, and so we do have a lot of variables that we can play with.
And those adjustments and the mobilization of the factory changes, those adjustments you have been making since the Trump administration came in or since coronavirus pandemic, how far along have you been making those calculations?
So I think over the last few years, I think we've been trying to diversify our kind of manufacturing capabilities across the globe. That we've been working for years. And in particular for how we're going to handle this US tariff situation, especially for the products that we are building and then shipping to the US. Because there are some special kind of equipments that we need to kind of make them ready in all these production lines and et cetera. So that over the last few months, actually, we have made them ready.
The experience in the devices, especially with artificial intelligence, would you be willing to take new chances and opportunities with, say, integration of ChatGPT that we've been hearing about?
So with the S25, we, as I mentioned, we integrate AI agents at the system level. We built that system, and then Gemini from Google was the first agent that we integrated deeply into our Galaxy devices. And I can tell you that we already kind of tell the world that Gemini will not be the only AI assistant we're going to integrate with our Galaxy. We're going to integrate multiple AI assistants or AI agents with this framework that we built. And
which includes conversations with ChatGPT.
It could be anything. It could be anything as long as these AI agents are competitive and AI agents can provide best user experiences. We are open to any ideas.
How far along are the discussions?
We're talking to multiple vendors. I think at the time of S26, you're going to see more.
Perplexity AI fits into those conversations too?
anything, as I mentioned, Perplexity, others. I mean, any AI agents out there in the industry, whichever provides the best experience with our Galaxy to Galaxy users, we'll be open to integrating those.
But the fact that you're saying we're going to get a decision by S26.
You will see, in addition to Gemini, you will see more at the time of S26.
Why does a bigger mix of AI developers make sense for Samsung?
So we really want to make our consumers we'll give these choices to the consumers. Whichever agents they love, or whichever agents makes most sense to them, we want to actually give the choice to them. So we're not going to force our Galaxy users to choose one or another. We'll provide the multiple choices to them and then let them decide.
You've had a very long relationship with Google. Will this change that?
No, Google, we have been working very closely with Google ever since we launched our smartphone with Android. And this relationship actually has gotten stronger with this AI integration.
What is your strategy inside of China when it comes to these AI models?
China is very special. You know, Samsung is one of the companies that has a ability to deliver the products at the truly global kind of level. But also, we also believe that we need to do a lot of we have a deep commitment to localization as well. So China, we definitely have an R&D center there. And then we do a lot of partnership with the local Chinese vendors in regard to not only the models, but also AI solutions and services. So we have been working with a lot of them actually to provide the best experience to our people in China.
Where are you seeing the bright spots when it comes to smartphone sales, and where do you see the opportunities in the next few years?
You know, some people are saying that smartphone market is saturated. Maybe there is a need for the new kind of device to replace the smartphone. I don't necessarily agree with that kind of that claim. I think we do have a whole range of devices, like we call those as eco devices around the smartphones, and then like wearables such as watches and earbuds, and new computing devices, tablets and note PC. And then when these devices work together, I think there will be a synergy in terms of providing the better experience to the consumers, but also when this not only smartphone actually market increase or they have a solid growth, but these eco devices actually have also solid growth. So I think from the mobile industry point of view or market point of view, we strongly believe that the market will continue to increase, continue to grow, and also the importance of smartphone is going to be more than rather than less. And the reason why I'm saying is that it's because of AI. When AI brings to the picture of this industry, smartphone will play a kind of central hub role, so that it can not only users can interface with smartphones, but they actually can bring the AI benefits to other surrounding devices or eco devices. So I think smartphone market will grow, and also importance of smartphone will increase.